about anti-SLAPP. Anti-SLAPP and the difference between using that statute as opposed to the bankruptcy, using the bankruptcy code. Now, if you ever notice, I'm doing something different. This is a vertical, what do you call it? A vertical live. Because I want to try to see if I can get my light on. Hold on, everybody. Let me see if I can get this light on. It can be more light up here. And you all can see what I can see. I'm just trying this because they said this is better to do a vertical. So the first thing we want to see when we look at this anti-SLAPP, as you see on the screen, some courts, particularly this came out of California, as I have told you guys in the last video. I know the sound was messed up, but the anti-SLAPP came from out of the California state regarding it, the evolution of it. Other states have adopted it, not many. And we talked about that over and over again. What it is basically letting an individual have freedom of speech. So that if they're in a public forum and they go against a big company or a small company or whoever, that they can say what they need to say about it and not feel like they're going to be sued. And even if they make a mistake, because they might not have the information or they might be incorrect or might be just their own opinion, then that is not considered a problem. And you can't take them into court and try to sue them for defamation. This case was not like that. Our case was dealing with someone coming into court and purposely misrepresenting their property holdings. So that's a different type of thing that causes different problems when it comes down to damages. So the anti-SLAPP here is dealing with that. And some judges will use that as a gateway to do what they do. And we felt that's what that was done for our case in California, but it was unlawful. Because as you see here on the screen, it says anti-SLAPP gave the court a way to bypass disputed jurisdiction facts, because it's our understanding that the premise of the case needs to have a premise. You have to have a premise. And from there, you can make a decision on the case itself. In this case, our case in New Jersey did not have a premise. But in the anti-SLAPP, by using that, you get to bypass the jurisdiction facts. You bypass the premise. You bypass all the stuff that typically would be necessary and needed to find out whether a case is legitimate. Now, in this case, we'll see that it was legitimate because of the fact that in our case, we didn't have a premise and there was not an assumption of the truth, etc. So you can't just bypass something and not know why you're bypassing it. But if you look here, it tells you the person bypassed the assumption of truth rule, whatever that, I guess, means, the truth rule. Decided early in the case that they were going to do what they needed to do to use the anti-SLAPP as a premise, because the anti-SLAPP becomes a gateway. It becomes a gateway for you to escape out of what you would normally do with the case. In other words, you don't have to look at the jurisdiction facts, as I said. You can bypass the premise. You can bypass the assumption of truth. And you can decide earlier. And that's what was done. So anti-SLAPPs let you avoid the Rule 12 discipline. The Rule 12 discipline, we're going to get into it, is basically has different boundaries for a court to make a decision regarding whether to accept the motion to dismiss or not. And this is what we felt was that happened to us. We had what we call a ran away. Somebody ran away from a premise analysis, and they did that at the procedure level. So here, that's what happened here. I see everybody coming in. If you have questions, please feel free to ask questions. But I'm trying something new, trying to do what we call the vertical, and eventually we'll get it right. But right now, I'm doing the practice. So y'all know how this can be. You got to live and learn. So that's basically the anti-SLAPP. Then you look at the next slide. The next slide, some people were asking me about the bankruptcy. Why bankruptcy court is different. Why bankruptcy? So everybody that goes to bankruptcy court is not about they lost money or they broke or they lost their house. A lot of times it is somebody's in a typical crisis, and you can be in a crisis in different levels, right? But some people go to there because there are some things that might have happened outside their finances, which they might have a problem with the finances. But in our case, it was also dealing with the transferring of a property. Because the property was transferred and it flowed back to a void order, that's when we had to look at it again. So there was a void order, which we believe was a part of our case in New Jersey that was derived from the court. There was an order that was also derived from fraud, all at the same beginning point. As it came and flowed from there, there were those that order was used. It was used to put in a system to, I guess, articulate or tell the system, whatever the case is, to record it about it, because it wasn't recorded on the actual property. But in this case, they did it in a system that title companies use. But make a long story short, a bankruptcy court cannot do certain things, and they definitely don't use the anti-SLAPP. They use a different rule called 12b-6, which does govern jurisdiction. A premise must be, if the premise is disputed, it must be articulated so you can know exactly what you need to know in order to rectify it. So in this case, a premise dispute must be assumed true at this stage. So if you're having a dispute, you got to dispute. There's no going to be, well, I think they're lying, I don't think they're lying. At the 12b-6 governs the fact that it is also something that's true in regard to the problem. So that's for the jurisdiction. Then the fee shifting and the merits determination does come later. So the judge does not have to make the same procedure escape hatch like was done with the anti-SLAPP. The anti-SLAPP in California was used as a scapegoat, but it was applied wrong. That's why it was appealed. And sometimes if you don't have status, everybody, you better listen. If you don't have status, if you don't have certain things that other people have, you are not given the same type of, I won't say respect, but lawful rights. So sometimes people will do stuff because you are not at the same level as the other person, which is wrong. You should be giving everybody the same leverage regardless, based on the fact that they have rights. So that's what I wanted to come on and talk about for a few minutes, is just the two things here. The anti-SLAPP is definitely a scapegoat for some premises or some judges, if you will, some forms or courts. It does not work when you have fraudulent statements. When there's a jurisdiction dispute, you can bypass certain things, but the problem is you must have a premise in anti-SLAPP. If you don't have a premise, you can't really do anything. So that's why, as I said, our situation is on an appeal. But with the bankruptcy is a little different law that governs it. It's 12b-6. And that makes sure that whatever is a dispute is known, and it has to be dealt with by the court so that you can go forward. So if there is a dispute or concern. So I hope that answered everybody's questions, because I did get a couple questions. I know one of the videos we did came in blurry, where we working on, not blurry, it did come in a little bit blurry. It was kind of not readable because I think the screen is so big, and it also the sound, something happened with the sound. So yeah, I am trying this now with the vertical to see how we do with this, because I've been told this is a better route for us to take. So yeah, I wanted to come on to talk about this, and I hope you all are having a great day. This is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. If you don't have any questions, we'll mosey out. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to respond. I see Marilyn down here. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you guys coming in. Just wanted to give you guys some clarity. I'm going to try to stay up with this. I'm going to get some more instruments going. Y'all know I'm in school. God is good, everybody. Let me just keep telling you, God is good. And ain't nothing going to stop who God is. Nobody's going to stop who God is. And what God can and will do with your life is a good thing. But I'm excited about all the things that are happening. I'm excited about what God is doing. I'm excited about what's happening in terms of the direction. And I'm only going to continue to trust Him in that. I am. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to trust Him. So just be encouraged, everybody. Be don't be discouraged. God is still on the throne. You have to go through things and see things and understand things so you can come out on the other side to help somebody else. I want to help other people. And I think this whole thing that happened in California was it was really disappointing as a country. And then I thought the case was on a stay so that the bankruptcy could finish what they were doing, but somebody did, I guess it was on the stay, and then they took it off the stay and did what they want. I don't know, but I was told that was uncommon for that to happen. But here again, sometimes if you don't have status, if you don't have certain things that other people have, you're treated different, which is wrong. But it doesn't change anything about me because I know who I am. Like some of you guys know who you are. That's a beautiful thing. So it's all good, everybody. I just want to say it's all good. So I'm just learning how to do this new system here too. The vertical. I'm going to get the other thing where you guys can see my face and I can get the background together. So I got to work on that next. But I appreciate you all coming in. Uh, be just be mindful. Be mindful of everything that's around. Everything is not always what it seems. Sometimes people can make things more than what it is, and so forth and so on. But I wanted you guys to hear it from me, and I'm going to keep trying to work things out so I can make things clear, better, and more educational purposes, etc. But I want you to know that all is good, all is well. I promise you. Can't always tell you everything, but just trust that God is working. He's moving. He's in control. And well, like I said, whatever you have to learn, you got to learn for you and other people so that you can be the best you and you can help somebody else be the best them. All right. I don't like to go on rambling, blah, 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 blah. But I'll be on again. I'm going to do some videos throughout the day. And I will keep testing how this thing works and make sure it gives you good content, clear, and all that good stuff. All right. Thank you, everyone. This is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. I'll be signing out. Thanks for watching. All right. Let's see how this thing ends. Not sure how it ends, y'all. But I'm going to try this. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Yeah, here we go. Talk to you guys soon. Dr. Lily M. Coley, Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil.